Given the circumspective ability of this faculty to take into account the input from all other spheres and zero above the tree in its rendering of a decision to choose a way, the fully developed ab-man is the best suited for carrying out the governmental, judiciary, and legislative functions in society. This is shown by the central position of this sphere on the tree. We further learn that governmental functions must not be given to people who have not transcended partisanship and who lack the ability to fight against the influences from their lower nature. We must take note of how the tree of life codifies and reveals information through its numerical and geometrical arrangements. The ab faculties are midway between the supernal faculties, 0 through 3, and the lower ones. They thus play a mediating and transitional role. We understand, therefore, that the supernal faculties cannot communicate directly with or to the SAHU. This is what is meant by the light shining in the darkness, but the darkness comprehends it not. The revelations from the wisdom faculty goes to the fourth sphere, and through it to the sixth. It cannot be received by the rational logical faculty, sphere 8. The divine plan for the organization of society, according to the Kemetic spiritual tradition, calls for the designing of key institutions of mankind, religion, science, government, education, etc., by Ausar men, who will teach it to ab men, who will use it to guide the SAHU men, who always make up the bulk, 95% or more, of society at any given time. It is not true that many will be called, but few will be chosen. There are no chosen. God does not play favoritism. It is that many will call upon God, but few will choose to live truth. The SAHU man. The chief faculties of the SAHU man. The SAHU man corresponds to the level of spiritual growth in which only the faculties from the 10th up to the 7th have been developed, and in some, the lower third of the 6th sphere has also been awakened. His general behavior is the product of the shortcomings of these faculties, plus the absence of the input from the higher ones. Most people in the world are at this level of spiritual evolution. The influence from the Geb faculty. The animal spirit, the emotional and sensual vehicle, dominates the life of the SAHU man due to the absent influences from the higher parts of the spirit. It compounds the difficulties experienced in going through life with the limited assistance from the faculties of the 7th through the 9th spheres. Instead of following our will, freedom to choose based on knowledge or belief, we follow the blind impulses from the animal parts of our brain. For example, we eat meat, ignoring all the scientific data and common sense revelations. The fact that if we were meat eaters by nature, we could and would eat it raw without succumbing to deadly infections, and would enjoy, even relish the sight, smell, and taste of raw, unseasoned blood. What else is the height of the art of cooking but taking meat and flavoring it with garlic, onions, peppers, oregano, tomato, in all, making it taste like a vegetable? We thus, of course, dig our graves with our teeth in the quest of gratifying the perverted cravings of the animal within. The SAHU scientists, quotes, work with their brains, but live by their animal spirits. The animal spirit has such a control over the SAHU man's intellect that many of his institutions are defined in animalistic terms. For example, love, which is the act of giving selflessly, is reduced to the emotional expressions of the animal vehicle. To the SAHU man, having sex is, quote, making love. Emotional attachment, sensual arousal, accelerated heartbeat at the sight of the object of desire, the increased flow of blood through our viscera, making us feel something deep inside when we contemplate the one we love, and such Roman antics are interpreted as signs of being in love, quote unquote. In spite of the countless examples of lovers, quotes, hurting, disrespecting, and ill-treating each other in the midst of continued verbal declarations of love, SAHU man fails to correct his or her erroneous definition of love. The same goes for marriage. Instead of viewing it as a contractual event in which society is empowered to regulate and mediate between the parties in the event of difficulties and dissolution, SAHU man views it as a legitimization of the feelings of the parties for each other. Nothing can be more absurd. The animalistic definition is emphasized in the fact that in societies dominated by the SAHU man, the wedding is consummated not with the religious ceremony or the legal rubber stamp, but with the sex act. These effects and countless others are in reality not caused by the Geb faculty, but by the misinterpretations of the person who is restricted to looking at life only through the faculties of the 9th, 8th, and 7th spheres. The influence from the Ausar faculty. As this faculty is the seat of the personality, its attributes are the keys to understanding the SAHU man. The basic attributes of this faculty, when not uplifted by the higher faculties, is indiscriminate imitation, high receptivity, which most often deteriorates into gullibility and impressionability, spiritual slumber, tamas, with its characteristic dreamlike stream of thought or thought drift, and identification with the animal spirit, temperament, hence personality type, and external role models. It is through this faculty, regarding indiscriminate imitation, that people are made to waste billions of dollars each year through following fashion trends, made to destroy their lives by indulging in tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs, and so on. Their docility was recorded in the Kemetic holy teachings, in which Heru cuts off Ausar's head and replaced it with that of a cow for preventing him from killing Set, principle of evil, when he finally got his first and only chance to do so. The Christian tradition also refers to SAHU man as a sheep, camouflaging it with the reference to Jesus and his disciples as shepherds of men. We all know too well of the scenes in which one lion stampedes 100 cows and thus gets his meals. If they banded together, he certainly would go hungry or be crushed to death. The 5% of the world's population who controls 85% of the world's wealth know this so well. Our interest here, of course, is not in fomenting revolution. What I want you to appreciate here is the finesse of the tree of life. Note that the ninth sphere, Ausar, is diametrically opposed to the first, Ausar, which stands for unity. Thus, the tree of life teaches why people cannot achieve the unity they need to overthrow their oppressors. They remain polarized, willingly trapped in their posana, the ninth sphere, the separative part of being. The influence from the Sebek faculty. This faculty takes in reality as pieces of verbal information, and thus breaks the world into an infinite array of separate and isolated symbols. It is therefore the source of all segregative behavior, discrimination by race, gender, age, etc., the division of medicine from diet, religion from science, and government, ourselves from God, as two distinct categories of being, as opposed to the same with quantitative differences, man from nature, and so on. It gives names to things, defines and describes them. It is the source of the greatest problems in the world, because in the life of the spiritually immature, it masquerades as the faculty of knowing. Whenever we want or need to know, it interposes a verbal symbol, a name or definition between us and the reality we are seeking to know. Armed with a host of degrees representing for most people certification of mastery of names and formulas, definitions, and descriptions, SAHU man goes on to assume the reins, so he believes, of society. He has heard this faculty is the left side of the brain, thus cannot see about God and concludes he knows God. He has heard about democracy and proceeds to kill and die for a democracy in which some people are more equal than others. Remember, dogs can recognize hundreds of verbal commands, and parrots can repeat a few. Incidentally, the Satans, if you prefer, controlled the SAHU man by taking advantage of the combined action of this predisposition to use words without understanding the realities for which they stand, although the definition has been grasped with the indiscriminate imitation of the ninth sphere. SAHU man is readily manipulated by a large arsenal of slogans or buzzwords. Another important influence from this faculty concerns the power of belief. Because there is no guidance from the higher faculties, the SAHU man does not know that beliefs or ideas contemplated in a